Everyone, this is Shaq from Stand Out Running. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to be talking with you about my 100-mile review of the On Cloud Monster 3 Hyper. Let's begin. Thank you for tuning in. So let me tell you first about why I do 100-mile reviews. First of all, I do it because other people do it. I'm a follower. No, actually, it is, I see a lot of other reviewers do, and it makes sense to me. You know, if a shoe lasts 100 miles, the shoe changes. You have a different shoe most of the time, or you have the same shoe. In that case, it's even better than you would think. So for this one, I got 100 miles in because I love the shoe. I am someone, I'm very ADHD, and so I will constantly want to run in different shoes, try different shoes, and I take major advantage of the Outsole app, so definitely check that out if you do not have it. I do trades on Reddit, Facebook, and of course, I belong to a running shoe store I'm a member of a running shoe store where I'm able to return shoes within 60 days after using them no matter what, so I will do a lot of trades. I mean, I'm like a Pokemon card trader here. Anyway, so this shoe is one that I really enjoyed. I previously did a video 100-mile review of the Rad UFO, or the RAD UFO, and I absolutely adore that shoe, and this one is right up there with it. So let me tell you a little about the shoe and why I like it so much. All right, so first off, the specs. This is a light shoe with how big it is. It comes in 9.6 ounces and 271 grams for a men's size 9. You have 45 millimeters in the heel and 39 millimeters in the forefoot, giving you a 6 millimeter drop. That is a lot of shoe, but it doesn't feel that way. All right, so talking about the upper first. The upper is their engineered mesh. I'm not sure if you can hear that. I really like this color, by the way. There's also a all black and I think a kind of like all gray, but it's like a light gray. It looks pretty nice too, but I'm a sucker for purple and I love this like yellow, green, yellow. So I love the look. The tongue is really thin. You can see a little bit there. It's got a little bit of padding bump to prevent any lace bite. And the laces themselves are subpar, nothing really special. They're fine, they do the job, nothing to write home about. The heel color is nice and cushioned, so you get a lot of support back there. It's relatively firm, so it holds your foot very nicely. Speaking of that, the lockdown is very good. It holds your foot very well in the midfoot, and it opens up nicely, giving you a nice wide foot fit. This is great for my feet. I have wider feet and no problems or any rubbing anywhere with this shoe. So big thumbs up on the upper. Moving to the midsole, which is always the star of the show. And this is where On really took a step forward. Because in the previous versions, they just relied on their cloud tech, which was firm, too hard. However, they did a 2-foam blend this time. You can clearly see the separation. First of all, you have their Helium HF, which is their super critical foam. This is where you get that bounce, that energy return, kind of your race day feel. And they used their Cloud Tech foam as a kind of a support, as a chasis for it to sink down in, and keeps you very stable. This is a super stable shoe. This is about as close as you can to saying this is a stability shoe without saying it's a stability shoe. Right, so when you first get the shoe, when you first run in it, you'll notice that it is very firm. It is. It threw me off at first and I nearly returned it because I was like, I can't run a shoe this firm. But after about 15 miles in, it started to really soften up, and it's continued to feel better and better and better every time I ran in it, which is how I got to 100 miles, because it kept feeling good. So if you hate super firm shoes, this is still going to be okay. But if you really like a soft shoe Something you sink in, this is not going to be for you. All right, you can see it has a nice rocker in it. It's not overly aggressive, but it's very good to pick up the pace in. So you definitely can get moving in this shoe. It has a nice turnover. It's a set it and forget it shoe. So that is great. Right, on to the outsole. So the outsole has a kind of full rubber going all the way around. They are separated so you have more kind of flexion there. And if you look at this, I'm 100 miles in and it looks great. Absolutely great. I am really impressed by the durability of the shoe. So that is an outstanding mark. All right, so the price, though, is where this shoe loses it. It costs $220 for this shoe, and with the massive market of all these other max stack trainers and long run shoes, this can get lost, even though it's so good. So if you have the money, this is one of my top choices. If you don't want to spend the money, I get it. I understand. So you might not want it. So let me tell you about one mistake that On did, in my opinion. Some people might disagree. They released this shoe the same time, or about the same time. Actually, this came out like a few months earlier, but you know, it's close enough, as their light spray version. Now, as much as I like this shoe, the light spray version is even better. It's super light, like light spray, and it's got more cushion. It's not more cushion. It's about the same stack and everything, maybe a little bit higher, but it's much softer, much more responsive. So you get a better run out of it. It's much more aggressive. You can go a lot faster in it. You can use it a lot more for your daily miles. So the problem is, this shoe, I would call this your daily trainer / super trainer. All right, you can use this for all kinds of runs. I think I would want a softer shoe personally for my long run recovery run. I'm looking at the Nike Vomero Plus or the Premium. I'm looking at the Super Blast 3. I'm looking at the Mag Max. I'm looking at the Hoka Skyward X2. I like those feelings for my super long shoes. This is a bit too firm for me for a long run. For daily runs though, it's fantastic, even to pick up the space, picking up the pace. Now, they market this shoe the same way they market the light spray, but the light spray is just so much better. Like this is a really good shoe, but that's a really better shoe. I'm not sure if that's proper English grammar, and I'm a teacher. I should really check that out. So let's talk about the rating. So for the upper, as I said, it's really good. It's fits everything perfectly fine. I love the feel of it. It's light with still enough cushioning to make it very comfortable. I give it an A. All right, looking down at the mid foam, I'm going to give it a B. And the reason I'm giving it a B is because, one, it's a little bit too firm out of the box, and I think it's going to turn a lot of people off. I think if they softened it up a little bit more, you would reach a lot more clientele. And also, and this isn't fair to this shoe, but this is your fault for releasing them so close to each other. I ran in the light spray, and the foam is fantastic in that shoe. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite foam feels all time. So, like, I get why you made them different, because if you use the same foam, why would you get the light spray for as expensive as it is when you can get pretty much the same thing here with, you know, heavier obviously, but still kind of the same shoe. So they needed that difference. They needed that separation to really make the money worth it. But knowing that I could have had that foam here, it makes me give it a B. All right. The outsole, obviously, I'm giving that an A for how durable it is. Fantastic. It does the job. I ran in rain, snow in it, and no problems at all. And finally, let's go. Oh, sorry. So I said A for an outsole. Finally, looking at the price. The price, I want to give it a C, but I'm going to give it a B. I think it's too expensive for what it does. What it is and what it does. If you market this down at $200, like the same thing as the Hyper Boost Edge, cheaper than the Super Blast 3, then you would have a very popular shoe that I think a lot of people would get and a lot of people would enjoy more. But to be honest, On doesn't have the best reputation for runners. So they look at that price tag and they go, another On shoe, no thanks. Even though all I see is positive reviews about this shoe. So that price is holding them back. Now, the reason I don't give it a full C is because I get it. It's On. It's what they do. They make things more expensive. That's their brand. So I'm going to expect it to be more expensive than it should be. So nothing's different in that vein right here. All right. Let's get on to rotations. All right, so if I was to make a rotation for this shoe, this would be my daily shoe. Again, I'm focusing on this shoe. I'm pretending the light spray does not exist. I don't see it. Now, I would put a much better long run shoe with this. Not much better, but I would prefer something more cushioned, like I said. My current favorite is the Skyward X2. So I would take the Skyward X2 for my long runs, and this would be my daily trainer, something that I can really get going. I can also do some speed in this. So this could be great in a 3-shoe lineup. If you were looking for a 4-shoe lineup, I would pair this with, you know what? If I want to stay on, I would pair this with the light spray. The light spray is a shoe that wants to go fast. It's fantastic. You can really get a good turnover with how light it is. So this would be my daily. The light spray would be my speed shoe. But honestly, the light spray can do all of that better. So this would knock it out. Maybe this shoe is better in a 3-shoe rotation. All right, and then I would have my carbon race shoe or a race shoe if you do not want carbon. For that, On has a really nice one. They're On Cloud Boom Echo, or you can go other brands if you don't like it, because that one wasn't my favorite either. All right, so that's how we'll set up the rotation. All right, so let's get into some comparisons of the shoe. Let's see what's in the same price range. We'll see in the same fit range and help you decide if you really want this shoe or something similar.
All right, so looking at our first comparison, I'm actually using 2 from the same brand. Not even the same brand, I'm actually using 2 from the same type of shoe version. But they're not the same version. All right, let's get to the review. So first off, we have the Super Blast 2 with the FF Turbo Plus, FF Blast Plus. We have a 45, 37 drop, 249 grams, 8mm drop total. All right, so the reason I'm talking about an old version of a shoe that is going to be hard to find, and even though some people are still trying to find it and still talk about it all the time, is because this is what the Hyper is closest to. It has that same firm ride that will soften up over time. It's very much the same thing as the Super Blast 2 was. In fact, I think it has better stability. I will say the Super Blast 2 is a bit lighter, not by much, but it is. So if you miss the Super Blast 2 feel, and you weren't happy with the Super Blast 3, then get the Hyper. You're going to run around the same price. They're both around the $220 price. Well, not the Super Blast 2. Sorry, I take that back. You can probably find that real cheap if you can find it. However, it's got to be running low. I mean, like it's been gone for a while. It's like that's probably going to be a classic shoe that like Asics would bring back. Nike does that and just brings shoes back. Super Blast 2 is one that I could see doing that. All right, so what about the Super Blast 3? Super Blast 3 has the FF Leap, the FF Blast Plus, so a dual foam system. Has a 46.5 millimeter in the heel and 38.5 in the forefoot, giving you an 8 millimeter drop. So it's the same as the Super Blast 2, but much higher up. And the significant change is the weight reduction. This is super light, coming in at 239 grams in a men's size 10. So, compared to the On Cloud Hyper, you are going to have a much softer ride. It's going to have a completely different feel. So looking at the On Cloud Monster, you see this one's at 274 grams, 9.7 ounces. It is a lower stack, 39.5 in the forefoot. I forgot what the heel is in, but you have a 6 millimeter drop, so it's lower to the ground. However, if you like the really soft feel, you're going to want the Super Blast 3. And the upper feels better in my opinion. It's a very comfortable shoe and gives you that cushion protection. However, the Hyper gives you a firmer ride, so some people prefer that. Both are going to save your legs and protect them, but in different ways. Finally, I want to take a look at the Adidas Hyperboost Edge, but I want to give you a warning first. I'm sorry that this image is the red version. Do not ever get the red version. Red means bad. Red means stop. The other versions, the other colorways, pretty much any other colorway, is a much improved version. It might just be because they lowered the height of the sidewalls, or the upper, I mean, and that's better, but just don't get the red. And plus, who likes that color? I don't know. I'm sure there's someone is, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. They're probably a Chicago Bulls fan. Anyway, so why would I compare the Hyperboost Edge to the Hyper? So first of all, the Hyperboost Edge does have an advantage for being cheaper. At $200, you have a weight of 9 ounces, so it's going to be lighter than the Hyper. The stack height is 45 millimeters to 39 millimeters, giving you a 6 millimeter drop. So both shoes are 6 millimeter in drop. And again, they are closer than the Hyper to the Super Blast 3 because the Hyper Boost Edge does not have a mushy foam. It will bounce, it will go in, but you're not getting a sink like you do in the Super Blast 3, which many people do not like, but many people also like. So these shoes are similar for that. The On Cloud Monster Hyper definitely wins in the upper category. The upper is much better than even the other versions of the Adidas Hyperboost Edge. But speaking as someone who has no problem with the Hyperboost Edge upper, which is shocking for me, I would prefer that for all-around stuff.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please like and subscribe because I am a teacher. I am in the summer break and I plan to run a lot more miles and do a lot more training and try a lot more shoes. In fact, coming up, I'm close to 100-mile review of the Hoka Skyward X2. I'm going to do a review of the Asics Magic Speed 5, I think. I think it was 5. I'm going to say 5, but I could be wrong. The latest version, whatever that is. I have coming in the Asics Nova Blast 6, which I'm really excited for, and the Topo Spectre 3, which is going to be another sleeper and probably a standout shoe. So again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate your time, and always be bold, be fast, be you.